Matthew just made a very good point and asked me to elucidate about what?
Well, I guess I was asking if there's a time value to the as ideas move through the three-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system that you would map paths of ideas. So as an idea would move through the CCC, it would create paths, and then you would track paths through it.
Eureka, exactly. That we talk that on several dimensions. One is that we've decided to use Cartesian coordinates to map these three dimensions, and that the mapping of the path, we need to define the steps in that path, and we've mapped those steps in the path not originally, but looking in the mirror view mirror, we've mapped the creative process against the delta, the theta, the alpha, the beta, and the gamma waves. And we've turned back to the description of the 6 steps of the creative process and reallocated those 6 steps to the 5 steps of that we have hypothesized as a working description in the simplest possible form of the 5 steps in the creative process.
So Charlie, I have a question for you. So let's assume that you actually created this map and the map actually works. What's the objective?
Right.
Why do we need this map? What can we use it for? Is it going to help us? And it like I kept using the word influx. Is it going to be in flux? So do we have to keep updating the map because it keeps changing?
So let me just see if I can give you the short answer to that one.
Yeah.
We are living in a world
What's the objective?
of exponentially accelerating technology. We are laying left in the dust and the dirt, and we can't handle it. How do we fix our minds so it can keep up with technology?
And what do we do with that?
You figure out who to vote for president. You figure out
So I'll vote for Hillary?
how to plan your career path if you're Shannon. You figure out how to make this merger and acquisition between 2 quite similar companies, to figure out what the differences and similarities are between those 2 companies and where there's a synergy. You use it if you're Foster in building your website so that the process that people would follow, you have a conceptual framework ultimately that follows the alphanumeric framework into one that also includes pattern recognition. So you can design the website so that the website both corresponds to all the technology out there, but the way you've organized your mind. Most people, what?
So in all of those scenarios, obviously we're overwhelmed by technology, and there's 2 options, or probably more. But
Obviously overwhelmed by technology.
yeah, so
I am.
so you're overwhelmed by technology, and there's those that are trying to keep up. Yeah, let me be on Twitter and Tumblr and whatever the hell they're on.
Yeah.
Like trying to keep up with technology, and other people who are like, forget that, I'm actually not going to participate in that. And then there's people in between.
You just opt out.
Yeah, the opt out, the try to, but you're saying to leverage the technology to enhance whatever job, whether it's mergers and acquisitions, figuring out the synergy.
help you.
Or let me try to characterize a little bit more carefully.
Mm-hmm.
You're not leveraging the technology directly to help you do mergers and acquisitions. You're leveraging the technology to build a product, a framework, a prototype, a database that you can put on your iPhone and use it as an auxiliary mind that you literally can store your memories in it from cradle to grave, that you can use it to see how you solve problems, You can use it to look at thousands of points of view and not just say, I'm a conservative, I'm a progressive, I'm a liberal, I'm with Hillary, I'm with her, all these different labels. That you can have a way with a common denominator framework to get all the different points of view of humanity, crowdsource it,
Yeah.
and use it, for example, in healthcare, instead of using randomized clinical trials, to take one pharmaceutical pill with a molecular manipulation that can make a statistically proven difference, but not a real difference, but a statistically proven one. And you try it with 1,000 people over here who are very much like 1,000 people over here. And if you try this Invocana plus diet and exercise, you may get a little bit better, but you are sure to suffer from 5,000 side effects. And I believe that we can use this to let ordinary experiences of human beings get captured in a common denominator framework, and using big data can analyze it and maybe put it on Facebook.
I was gonna say, have you approached Facebook or Google or anyone who's already capturing large amounts of data for everybody, and then you just sort of enhance and add to what they've already captured?
Now that you mention it,
Yes.
the question is, have you considered using Google and Facebook to draw into their technology ecosystem
To utilize them.
and to work with them so that you're not having to start from scratch? We have, as the Whole Brain Foundation is a nonprofit 501c3 that qualified us to get Salesforce.com. We've got 10 licenses. Get Microsoft TechSoup, and we have purchased on a nonprofit basis Google's SketchUp 2017 Pro, and we're going to realize the prototype with SketchUp. We also are going to take that prototype and use something called the SDK. Does everyone know what an SDK is?
Yep.
What's an SDK, Foster?
It's a library, or in web development,
It's a software development kit, and we're going to implement our digital prototype with the Facebook software development kit using a support group that I worked with called Alive with West Nile Virus, and make our 3D whole brain artificial mind available for people to tell their stories in this support group and capture all the things that they've learned and be able to look at everything they've learned about bed sores, learn everything they've learned about neuropathy, look at everything they've used to solve their...
So is this a new symbolic language like Cyrillic script or like Latin script?
We're so abstract above the actual programming languages that I don't even think about them. We think about architecture and epistemology, not about C++ and other things.
Well, I'm trying to map it in my head and see what type of like three-dimensional architecture it would create.
Well, let me finish telling the architecture that I know about,
Okay.
and maybe you can help me because I may not know. But we talked about looking at what I've got over here as as a cluster of 5 by 5 by 5 Rubik's cubes. Each of the Rubik's cubes here, oh, there it is each of the three dimensions is got 5 divisions. We've already talked about that there are 5 divisions in creativity. Those divisions are passion, These are what I labeled them for easy memory. Passion, mission, vision, organization, and implementation. The 5 divisions of humanity, left to right, are personal, social, organizational, political, and civilizational. And the 5 divisions of the hierarchy of knowledge go from concept to competency to curriculum to catalog to college library. So
What was the last one?
College library.
I tried to make them all alliterative.
College library?
I call it a college library because I want it to be a C.
Oh, so got it.
Where does spirituality fall in?
Huh?
Where does spirituality fall into? Where does spirituality fall into play?
Spirituality?
He didn't mention that.
I didn't mention that.
Just curious. Where does it fall in?
Spirituality would fall into the whole brain model, the 2-dimensional model, in the lower right, in the limbic system on the right side.
It sounds to